What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my RP Life. I'm your host, Juan. I got a special guest on today. He is my brother from another mother. But before we get into it, please subscribe to me on YouTube, my RP Life. Follow me on Twitter. You can also join my Facebook group, my RP Life Family and Friends. And please subscribe to me here on all the platforms that Anchor puts me on, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iPod, just to name a few. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my brother from another mother, Andrew, aka Batman. So, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
I'm nervous. I've never done this before. I'm good. How about you, Juan? How you doing today?
I'm alright, my brother. Just chilling. The last time we collabed together was on YouTube before I deleted my channel. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So let my audience know about you and how you lost your sight and stuff like that. So just let them know how you're visually impaired, right? Still, or like you're like partial.
Yeah. Well, I see shadows, so like I see light and dark. That's it. No defining. Like if I'm standing in front of somebody, I can see like a blob of black or just white. So
right.
There's no like defining, lines or anything like that. I'm at like a 5 to 10% vision, so there's nothing really there to see.
Right.
I can maneuver around the house and know that the big blob on my right, that would be the couch unless somebody moves it. But if there's toys on the ground, you better believe it. I'm gonna step on it, then I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna chuck it, and then probably break it because my kid knows not to leave toys, but the other ones not so much.
Right. I hear you.
I don't need to be pulling G.I. Joes out of my ankle or anything.
Yeah. So you can see like a silhouette of something, but it's not where you can tell what it is.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So like if you was to see me, I'll just be like a blobby shadow mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So let the audience know how you lost your sight, man.
Well, it started back when I was spawned as a child in Muscatine, Iowa. In the veterinary hospital. No, it wasn't that. But at 8 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and on my birthday, no less. And thanks God for that. Nice birthday gift. Anyway, as we went on, I was very defiant as a child. I was 8 years old. My friends were eating cake and ice cream at birthday parties, and I was getting a plate of celery and carrots. So that's where it all started.
Right.
So as I grew up, I went through a lot of tribulations and things. The loss of my father at 16, and my mom, she had a lot of relationships and had, 5 husbands total. So my life as a kid was kind of rough and rocky.
Right.
So therefore, I was kind of a rebel type deal where I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to do it. My friends didn't have to do it. I didn't want to sit and take a blood sugar 4 times a day and take 4 shots. I mean, who wants to?
Right, especially when you're young.
As a kid, I was really bad. And then after my dad had passed, I got really bad. And started doing things that I'm not proud of. But I went back to school. I dropped out of school at 16. And I went back a year later, and I graduated early. After that, I got back into those bad habits, drugs, alcohol, and things, and I went into a dark place because of my dad's death and just, not knowing where to go, not wanting to live because, I had this disease. I was sick all the time. I was tired of it. I didn't want to do it anymore, and the drugs and alcohol didn't help.
Right.
So with that, I went until I was about 23, 24 years old, and I got with a young lady. She had a baby, and she's like, I know you do these things, that's fine, whatever, but don't do it around the kid. And I was like, fine, I'll stop right now, I'll stop today, and I won't do it ever again.
Right.
And that day, it'd be February of this year, was my 10-year anniversary of being sober. So
that's good.
I got past all of that, but the drugs, the alcohol, the not taking care of myself, and all of that led to different things in my life. First, it was, the vision loss, and that's where my vision loss comes in. It's from years of not taking care of myself, abusing, my body, and things like that. That's where my vision loss came. And I have diabetic retinopathy, just like, Eva Dad.
Right.
So, which, yes, I do. I listen to the podcast. I do. Every single one.
Thanks, my brother. Appreciate it.
No, of course. Yeah, check him out. Make sure you check him out.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Facebook, Google Play, iPad thingy, Bob. I don't know all of them because I listen to him every time he says them, but I don't remember. So, Spotify, that's where I check him out.
Right.
But anyway, we'll keep going. So that's my vision story, because that's what led me to this. I was starting to get some lost vision when I was, I would say, about around 25, 26 years old. And, I thought, maybe my eyes are just getting bad, or maybe it's, the abuse that I put on my body, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Now, mind you, my whole entire life, the doctors would say, you need to take care of yourself, or you're going to go blind, you're going to get kidney disease, you're going to get neuropathy. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, that's all baloney, They don't know what they're talking about. They see it every day, and, they know nothing.
Right.
So, I was blinded by the fact that these things could happen to me. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, I really did a number on myself. I really abused my body. In high school I was bad. I had concussions and things because I played football, and I was really hard on my body. Coach would ask, oh, how you feeling? Are you hurting anywhere? No, even though I had a sprained ankle, I taped it so tight that I couldn't feel it. So, I did a lot of things, and then with the abuse of the drugs and alcohol and things,
right,
I pretty much sped up that process of where I was at, And I finally started realizing that we're getting into my later 20s, and by the time I was 27, almost 28, I nearly lost my vision completely. I went to the University of Iowa Hospital and Clinics, and my retinologist, Dr. Bolt, amazing man. He pretty much told me, buddy, you got diabetic retinopathy, and your retinas are tearing away from the back of your eyes. And I'm like, what do I say when somebody tells you that? And you're like, well, I can't fix this now. It's too late to fix it. So now all I can do is try to prevent anything else from happening.
Yeah.
And at this time, I got with my wife that I am with now, Teresa, God bless her soul. And she helped me a lot. And before I got with her in 2015, I was 28 years old. my mom had passed, and that was in July 19th of 2015.
Right.
And I was living in Missouri. I wasn't around nobody. We had moved there because my brother was adopted out as a kid, and I didn't know him, and my mom wanted to get to know him a little better. So we moved down to Missouri, in a little town. I mean, so little, the Amish, went by my house every morning. So I was there. My mom had passed. There was nobody there. She was my rock. She was my...
Hello? You hear me? We got cut off, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if he's still there.
Speech on. Voice call. End call. Button.
I lost him.
Andrew.
Andrew, you still there, man? Can you hear me? And
I can hear you. Hello.
there you go. It cut off for a minute.
I have no idea what just happened. Like, what happened?
I have no idea, my brother. All I know, it cut off for like a few seconds, and now you're back. So finish what you were saying.
Okay, so anyway, like I was saying, where was I at? I lived in a small town, and I was by myself with my mom's widow, and I don't have nobody. I have a third cousin that my mom had raised, and I got a hold of her, and I was like, hey, I don't have no income, I don't have nothing, I can barely see, and I was starting to swell really bad and whatnot, and she got me up here back home where I'm from, up here in Davenport, in the great state of Iowa, and all I can say is thank God that I got back here, because
hold on, I was gonna ask you something real quick. When you say you started to swell, what do you mean? Your eyes started to swell?
My legs, my arms, and we'll get to that point here in a little bit. I think you have a question about it. So
yeah.
I finally got back up here, back home, and I started going to, the retinologist up here, and, they were telling me everything, and I started bleeding into my eyes, and I was starting to see tints of red. And what was going on was my blood vessels in the eye were dying, so new ones would grow in, and they were just leaking blood into the back of my eyes. And that's where the red tints were coming from, because what happens with the diabetes is the blood vessels would die, and then that wouldn't give you blood flow to the retina itself, which pretty much dries it up, and it dies and pulls away from the back of the eye. They were able to go in and give me surgery in January of 2016. They reattached my left retina, and it did nothing. It made the vision worse than it made it better. And when I did that, they're like, we can try the other side. And I was like, no, let's leave that. I have some vision. Let's just leave it alone. It didn't help in the first place. It just made everything in my left eye look like I was underwater. Like if you ever open your eyes underwater, that's what I seen.
Yeah.
And so I just opted not to do it to the other eye. I tried to keep as much vision as I could, and eventually that one detached also. So
wow.
They made a good attempt to try to save them, and I can't be mad at anybody but myself for not taking care of myself for that many years. And I believe that this was a path where I was meant to be a stronger person and overcome it.
Right.
So that's what I did. I mean, I overcame a lot of things in my life with, the loss of my parents and the drugs and alcohol, and I put all that behind me. I fell into that grave, and I pulled myself out, and I kept falling, and I kept getting up. And I was like, well, this isn't going to stop me. This is just, another little bump in the road. So that's what I did. I just kept going. And I ran into some other issues after that, but I was doing lasers to the eyes so that they could burn the end of those blood vessels that were leaking into my eyes. And then after everything was said and done, they're just like, okay, there's no more we can do. You need to come back every year and get a checkup, and we can see if they're progressing or getting worse. As of right now, they've been steady for 4 years now, and I'm not getting any worse, but I'm not getting any better either. So
right.
That's the vision part of things.
All right, my brother. Thanks for sharing that with everyone. My other question is, because I know you went in for an operation, and
yes, sir.
You are a kidney transplant survivor and pancreas transplant survivor.
Yes, I am.
And tell them that story.
Okay, so when we moved back here, I was going to the hospital because I was really sick, and like I said, I was swelling really bad. That's why I didn't go into that earlier, but
right.
Swelling really bad, and I went to the urologist and things, and they're like, oh, you have stage 5 kidney failure. I was like, oh, great, this is awesome. Not only did I just lose my vision, but now my kidneys are starting to fail on me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about June, July, somewhere in there. I'm not good with dates, but I know the majority. If you want somebody that has dates,
right,
listen for Victor's podcast, because that man has all the dates
right.
and times. I don't know how he does it, but
right.
So it was around that time that they had told me, hey, you got kidney failure. But I was like, okay, we can deal with this until, they told me, well, you're starting dialysis. Now I'm in the hospital. I'm just, horrible. I'm feeling horrible, and now they're telling me, oh, now you have to do dialysis. And I'm like, great. Here's another thing to add to the pile of crap that I went through in my life.
Right.
And, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, there's no slowing that down. After they say you're on dialysis, you're there. You don't come back from it overnight. Mm-hmm. And so that's another path I had to take. I was very sick. Dialysis. I had a port in my chest, and I was almost 1 year to have it in my chest, and they were gonna have to put a new one in, and it got infected. Mm-hmm. Well, I had got what they call a fistula, which is a port where they stick the needles in to pull blood and put it into your body for dialysis, because dialysis is just pretty much it's like a kidney on the outside, and they filter all the toxins and the fluids and things out of your blood. Mm-hmm. So I sat for 4.5 hours in a chair every other day, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and they would stick me with these huge needles.
Wow.
We're talking really big needles, and they would suck out your blood. They would go through that machine, warm, it went in there warm, but they didn't give it back to you warm.
Wow.
Oh, sir, they didn't. They gave it back to you ice cold, and you froze half the time you were in there. So the blanket is a very nice object to have while you're in dialysis. But
wow.
So I did that, and I was doing that for almost 3 years on dialysis, which is relatively not that long, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And it was weird because my cousin had I don't know what it was, but it was some sort of disease where his kidney was attacking his body, and it was dumping toxins and things into his bloodstream and pretty much killing him off slowly. So he was actually in the dialysis center with me. So it was kind of weird that, two of us from the same family were in this one dialysis center. So, but right. He ended up getting a kidney before I did, and he didn't even wait a year. But like I said, I was there for close to 3 years, and it was just so everybody knows, like, it was in October I had signed up to get a kidney transplant.
Yep.
And nobody had said anything about a pancreas or nothing like that. And so I'm going in there and they're talking to me and we get started, and it was about October that I started everything. But previous to that, I was on one of the blind and visually impaired groups on Facebook, and a young lady was, she was upset. She didn't want to deal with life anymore. She was, new to this being blind and visually impaired, and she just did, like I said, she didn't want to deal with it. Like a lot of us probably had.
Yeah, she was giving up.
Been through it. We all know that once you hit that point, you're like, their depression sits in, stress and all that.
Yeah.
And I got on there and I was like, hey, it's not the end of the world. It's just a little speed bump. You'll be fine. You can talk to me. You can talk to anybody about it if you need to. And that's where the champ comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was reading that post and seeing that I had reached out to her, and God put me in that path to reach out to her and try to help her. And he had seen that I was only getting a kidney, and he had messaged me and he's like, hey, why aren't you getting a pancreas? And I was like, well, I didn't know. Nobody had told me about that.
Right.
And that was kind of, God bringing him to me, as he had sent me to that lady. And, and he sent him on the path to me so that I could now go for the kidney pancreas transplant.
Right.
I had asked my doctor, and I started going for, in October of 2018, I said, hey, I want to, he said, you're good to go, be on the transplant list and things like that. You just need to go get everything done. And if it wasn't for that path that, sent Victor to me, I would have probably only got the kidney, and I probably would have waited a lot longer to get a kidney. But we ended up going in October of 2018, and I believe it was the 5th October, and I seen a transplant team at the University of Iowa, and they told me, here's a list of things you need to get done in the next year in order to do this. Whenever you get it all done, come back and we'll get the next step rolling.
Right. So
that's what I did. There was a list of things. You had to go see, a psychiatrist and, things, because you have to be mentally stable to get an operation so big. And they want to make sure that, you're mentally capable of, having a surgery to that capacity. And, I had to have blood sugars that were, fairly good and regulated, so that, you weren't running a risk when surgery came.
Right.
But there was a whole list of things that I had to have done. And let's just say with January, by January, I was done with that whole entire list that they gave me a year to do.
Wow.
And it was just so happened that I had to wait to see the psychologist. And they're like, oh, it's going to be 6 months before we can get you in. And then just one day out of the blue, I was sitting in dialysis, and a lady had called me, and she's like, hey, we got an open spot. Would you like it? Now I'm sitting there going, I don't know how I'm going to get there. It's an hour drive. I'm not asking, my significant other, hey, can we get there, or nothing. I just said, yes, I'll take it. I have no idea how the heck I'm getting there. And I just took it, and it was for the next day. Wow. I come home, and that day I didn't say anything about it, because dialysis really took it out of me.
Yeah.
Like I always used to tell people, when I come home from dialysis, it's almost like I would get off there. Half the time I wouldn't walk out. I was wheeled out in a wheelchair, put into a car and brought home. Sometimes they would have to pull me in the house, up the stairs in the wheelchair, and I would go to bed. And I would go to bed until the next day. 24 hours later, I'd wake up and
finally go
on with my day. Because it was almost like going for a jog, going for a run, swimming across the Mississippi, taking a bike ride, and then coming back and, sitting in the heat for 4 hours. It was draining and it sucked. Mm-hmm. But I did that for almost 3 years. And finally, they had called me, actually, on your birthday and said, hey, in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll be calling you to tell you that you've been approved and you're on the transplant list.
Right.
So on your birthday, I got that good call. Now on my dad's birthday, which is the 27th of February, they called and said, be ready because you're on the list and at any time we can call and get you up here. So I had to have my bags packed. I had to have everything ready. Everybody at that time had to be ready to go. No matter when that call came, I had to be there.
Right.
So I was laying in bed one day and my sister had called and she kept calling, which I call her my sister, but she's actually my cousin. Mm-hmm. She kept calling and I was getting, scam calls every day. I was like, okay, I'm done. And the phone rang at 4:30. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to answer this, tell them to leave me alone. I'm about to shut my phone off. I answered it, and it was Andrea from the University of Iowa. She says, hey, we have organs for you. Do you want them? I was like, well, are they healthy? What age was this person? What had happened? Mm-hmm. And because when you get a kidney pancreas transplant, they come from a deceased donor because it's easier to take the two organs from one person, and you can't live without a pancreas. Mm-hmm. So they have to come from deceased donors. Mm-hmm. So they told me everything and they were good to go. And I was like, I'll take them. I immediately called Teresa and I was like, hey, we gotta go. I called my sister. I was like, hey, here's the deal. We gotta go. Everybody was ready and we were just waiting for that call because they were on the way to go get those organs.
That's what I'm talking about.
I believe those organs were given to me by my parents. They gave their life so that I could live a better one.
Right.
And I strongly believe that. So I got these organs and I was on the way to the hospital. Now, if anybody goes to Facebook and looks around March 18th on my Facebook, you can experience my whole experience of going there from the time, we got in the car on the ride up there, mm-hmm. Going into the hospital, getting in my room. There's actually an audio broadcast of me talking with Victor on my last dialysis treatment.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And the time where they're like, hey, we're going. You're going to the operation room. So
yeah,
that's all documented.
When you was in the car, you heard?
What's that?
I said when you was in the car and you did the live stream, I was on there too, listening to what you were saying and stuff. I remember.
Yeah. So I went live on Facebook and I documented everything. I wanted to document the whole aftermath of it, but that was a whole other situation after it was done. But so I got up there, I got in my room, they were getting me all set up, and like I said, I had my last dialysis treatment, and I'd been awake all night long because this is almost like going to Disney World, except for not quite as nice.
Yeah.
So I was ready, and I had people, some support. I don't have a lot of family, but I have the wife's family. I have my cousin, which is like a sister to me, and that's about it. I mean, like I said, my other siblings don't really have a lot to do with me. They just, like my one brother, he just don't, because we never really knew each other. And when my mom had passed, it was like, well, we've known each other for like 4 years, and it's not like that big kind of bond thing. We still talk every once in a while, but it's one of those extended kind of things where I'll call you if I want, or we don't even call each other during the holidays, so it's not that great of a relationship. But I'm sitting in there, and they finally come and get me, and I'm like, okay, here we go. This is it. This is the moment. And Teresa's just freaking out because she didn't like the idea of me doing it. She didn't like me going under. She didn't, getting the anesthetics and things. And
she was worried.
Yeah, very worried. I mean, this is a big deal, And I had to reassure her, the survival rate of a kidney pancreas transplant is very high. Not many people, die on a table from it. It's mostly the care afterwards people, die from. The taking care of the wound and, trying to get away from infection, because that's a big incision. And if anybody doesn't know, the incision goes about an inch above my belly button, around the belly button, all the way down into my groin. And it's a big spot. Wow. And they stuff you like a turkey. I came out of there, woke up in the ICU going, holy moly, who stuffed me like a turkey? This ain't Thanksgiving. And come bring the gravy, I guess. I mean, mashed taters. I need some mashed taters. I was in there. They said that the surgery was going to be 8 hours. And I went in there at like 7:30 in the morning, and I was done by 1:30. Right. I believe it was it? Yeah. No, it was before that. It was 4.5 hours, so.
Yeah, I remember.
11:30. I was out before noon, and like Teresa's going. Well, my sister, she's like, Andrew's gone, and she's freaking out, going, what? Because they have monitors up there that shows, your heartbeat and your vitals and all that to show, what's going on, what's happening, and how things are going. So she had finally got to sleep after working, because she worked her butt off all the time, still does. Yeah. But she finally laid down, and automatically she got woke up, and she's like, he's gone. And they're freaking out trying to find out where I was. I got that done, an 8-hour operation done in 4.5 hours. Right.
I remember, you heard? I remember, I think it was right after you got out of the operation, probably an hour or two later. And remember, I was visually impaired at one point, so I can kind of make you out if I triple tap on the screen. And I think it was your wife that was recording the live stream when you was already back in your room and stuff like that. And dude, when I triple tapped on you and looked at your face, I was like, oh man, he all swollen, he looked mad tired. Yeah. And then you had that mohawk, and I was like, he looked like he just smoked a good doobie.
Yeah, well, it was drugs, but it wasn't that. It was, pharmaceutical, doctor given drugs at that point.
Grade A stuff.
They had me on some very good drugs for that. They had me on a morphine pump, which due to my drug addiction and abuse, morphine wasn't working for me because I had such a high tolerance even after being clean for that long.
Yeah, I know.
So they were giving me dilaudid pills, which are amazing for anybody that has pain. If you got a headache, it's one of those things where if your arm feels like it's falling off, or your head is just pounding, it'll make you feel like you ain't even got an arm or a head. Right. If you're just gone, completely. Yeah. So it's like, I was good, but they took me off and slowly took me off those in like 2 days, and
that's good.
They wouldn't let me get up the first day, and I was like, hey, just let me get up, like let me walk, I want to go, and they wouldn't. But I got up and I walked like 480 steps the first time I got up after the surgery, which was quite a bit. And they're like, oh, maybe we should, turn around and go back. Don't overdo yourself. So I'm fine. I'm good. And the next day I get up and I was like, I'm ready to walk again. Let's get up. And they couldn't get in there fast enough because I was already halfway out the bed and already grabbing the walker. They're like, whoa, hey, hold on. And here I am. I'm already standing ready to go. I was like, what are you guys doing? Get your jogging shoes on. We're going. I'm like, right. Let's do this. Yeah. The second day, I walked almost 1,500 steps.
Wow.
So I tripled the first day.
Yeah.
But after that, things started going a little sour. I was getting sick. I couldn't keep any food down. They went in and they had to do a biopsy of the kidney. They thought it was rejecting because I was getting urine buildup backflowing into the kidney.
Oh, wow.
And what had happened was the stent that they put in between your kidney and your bladder had fell out. Oh. And my wife is telling them this, and they're not listening, and they're like, well, we're going to do a biopsy. So they take this big needle and they stick it in by the kidney, and it sounds like a hole punch because they punch a part of the tissue out and they take it. They came back, it came back good. There's nothing going on with the kidney. So they go in there and they go put a scope up in there where, the sun don't shine and people shouldn't be sticking things into. And they're like, oh, look at this. We found this in there. Well, first they did an x-ray or something of it, and they seen it just floating around in there. So they go and they're like, okay, they're trying to keep me calm. So I'm like, all right, well, what's going to happen? How do we do? How do we get this out? And, well, here's the story, folks. And if you are a snowflake, you do not take things well, or you're a male, this may make you feel like you have a lump in your throat. I'm just going to put that out there now. Any disclaimers?
Yeah, we are not responsible for any of your nauseations.
If you are cursing at this time, I'm sorry. But so doctor's like, oh, we're going to go up there and get it. And I was like, oh, that don't sound good. Yep. And he's like, all right, it's not that bad. We give you some numbing stuff. We shoot it down inside. He's like, and then we take it's a little camera, and it's got a claw on it. I'm going, it's got a what? You're going to stick a camera with a claw up in there? You got me messed up, bro. Right. You're like, it's not bad, And then we just get in there with the little claw, we grab it, and we yank it out. I was like, okay, there's a lot of those words in there that I don't like. Yeah. Yank. Claw.
It was kind of,
No, I didn't like those words. And they're like, it's fine, the lady, oh my.
You heard, what I was
going to have this procedure done.
You know what I was going to tell you?
I can't remember what it's called now. But anyway, they shoot it down inside your urethra. And this lady is just holding my junk closed so that it can, do what it needs to do.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going, oh, yeah, this is really awkward. And this lady, she does this on the daily, so she's holding people's junk a lot in her career. Right. And she just wants to have a conversation. I'm like, lady, this isn't the best time to have a conversation. And I'm wearing I was wearing Batman stuff because, I am the Batman, as everybody should know by now. Right. And she's like, oh yeah, my daughter loves comics, and we get to talking, and finally after a minute, I'm like, oh well, let's just talk about comics. Maybe this will help things. Right. So for 5 minutes, we sit there, we talk about comics and Batman and the Hulk and all this stuff. And I'm like, she's like, okay, well the doctor's ready to come in, and whatever they put in there, oh, I swear to you, is like Jesus of the numbing world. Because he's like, all right, you may feel some discomfort. And I was like, okay, nothing. And at this time, I had a catheter in because they were, I had the catheter to see how much urine was being dispersed through the bladder and things.
Right.
So they're like, we're taking that out. And I was like, okay, if I can pee after this, can you leave that tube out of there? Like, can you please leave that out? He's like, well, you're going to have to pee for me. And it's going to have to be enough. And then, we won't put it back up there. Oh, I was like, somebody get me the urinal. They took me to the bathroom, and I filled that thing to the top, to the very top. I was like, is this enough? He was like, that's plenty. We don't need to put it back in. And I'm going, oh, thank goodness.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Solutions.
All right.
There you go.
That's my stuff from my wound. But sorry about that.
Nah, that's cool.
I just got stuff because I got a wound on my toe and it just came in the mail.
Oh, okay.
So they left that out, and that was so nice not to have to walk around with a pee bag and all that stuff.
Right.
1,400 steps with a pee bag is a chore. But I finally got to the point where I was starting to get really sick, and I couldn't keep nothing down. And we were having some problems, and they were giving me all sorts of, nausea medicine and things like that, and it was just not working. All the medicine, I was constipated. I couldn't do nothing. Like, I'd sit on the toilet for hours with a blanket wrapped around me because it was so cold in there that I couldn't do nothing, man. I was so horrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly what date it was, but Victor was having some problems, and he had went in to the doctor, and they ended up putting him in the hospital. So now me and Victor are both in the hospital dealing with the major surgeries, and he, may be able to tell you more about what happened, because I'm not going to put his business out there. But
I'll
we were both in the hospital having surgical procedures, and we went through that together, which was kind of odd, seems how it was him that led me to that surgery.
Right.
And for him to be there the whole time he was, before the surgery, during the surgery, and then even laying in a hospital bed afterwards, and actually being in the hospital going through pain and anguish and things like that right alongside me was an amazing thing. He unfortunately had to spend his birthday there, and thank goodness, his mom and things got a ride up there so that he wasn't there alone for his birthday.
Right.
But after I started getting sick, and I wanted to, record and, document that whole aftermath of having the surgery done. There was no way I was doing it. And, Teresa's like, no, we're not putting this on Facebook. Like, but there's a little bit afterwards. If anybody wants to go check it out on my Facebook and see it, they can do that. And it was a really cool experience until afterwards. But I can honestly tell anybody this: if you're going through dialysis, really, really, really get in there, because the lifespan of somebody on dialysis is very short. They say up to 10 years. You're pushing it. Right. And a lot of people don't make it. And like things that Victor's told me, if you hear the word diabetes, it kind of sounds like die or beat this. And me and him and a lot of other people can say, we did beat it. We beat diabetes. And, I'm not looking back at it now. I mean, still to this day, the other day I was cleaning up because we're moving. I found diabetic supplies. I was like, nope, get that out of my house. I don't need that.
Right.
And it's been 2 years. March 19th was 2 years for me. So, but it's that word. It kind of rhymes and it goes with it. Die or beat this, diabetes, and dialysis. And that's the one that got me when he had said something about it, because dialysis almost sounds like die.
Oh, you there? Lost you again. Andrew, can you hear me? Hold on 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can get him back.
Speech on. YouTube, 17 minutes ago. Citizen CTV. Welcome. End call. Button.
He's there. I don't know.
Batman Andrew.
Andrew, can you hear me, man?
Are you there?
There you go. Yeah, I lost you for a
I
second.
think somebody keeps trying to call or something, because every time I get like a vibration. That's really irritating.
Right.
But as I was saying before I was interrupted again,
Yeah.
Dialysis. It sounds like dialysis. So pretty much that's telling you, if you stay on dialysis, it's eventually gonna kill you.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what you try to do, you can't live on dialysis for the rest of your life. And it's a bad thing to think about, but people who are on it really need to think about their lifespan, and that as soon as you can, you need to try and get that help and get in to see a transplant team. Go to your urologist and figure all that out, because it's a major thing. I mean, even if you're in a high populated area, there's a long wait, but the whole United States is connected. So if you find a hospital, say somebody in California comes and they talk with the University of Iowa, and they say, hey, I need a transplant. They will set you up. You will fly out here. They will do all the workups and everything they need to do, and you can get a transplant here. Victor's brother actually got a transplant at the same hospital I did.
Oh, wow.
And they lived in Washington, D.C. So, yes, you have to come here for your appointments and things. A lot of people will move here during that time, because after dialysis, there's a lot you have to do. There's blood work. I was doing blood work every day for like the first week, and then it went to every other day, and then it went to let's see here, once every 2 weeks, and then it went to a month, and now I'm at every 3 months. And then after this is all done, I'll probably go once every 6 months.
Right.
But I just had a high potassium, and tacro levels were kind of weird, which tacro's for your anti-rejection medicines and things like that. But I will be on pills for the rest of my life. But I would rather take, a quarter bottle of pills every morning and nighttime than sit and poke myself and take shots. It's a horrible life to live. It's so inconvenient. And I'm so happy that I got my kidney and my pancreas.
Right.
And what I have now, my quality of life, even though from the diabetes I have neuropathy, I can't feel my legs or feet from my knees down. I don't have my vision, but what's left of it, and just a kidney, and having to go through that to get that, it was definitely worth it. It was worth every, pain I felt, every tear I shed, and all the time it took to heal from it. I came home on fluids, IV fluids, and all sorts of stuff. So I can say honestly, with friends such as you and Victor and everybody that was there by my side, through this whole thing. Sarah and Dorcas and just that whole little group that, we always used to hang out and things. It helped because I have that lack of family. I have my wife's family, but it's not the same. It's support, but it's different, and it's really nice to have support from somebody who's been through it and knows exactly what you're going through.
Right.
Because some people can sit there, like you can sit there and tell me, Drew, you'll be fine. It's just an operation, you'll get over it, and blah blah blah. But honestly, you don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be a butthead or anything, but you've never been through it, so you can't say that you're going to be okay. I mean, you can, but you don't understand, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It's a lot different going through it and knowing what happens and the steps you have to take and hearing it from somebody that's been through it. And that's why me and Victor's had such a strong bond,
right,
because our stories are almost parallel.
Right.
We did the same things, we've had the same problems, and we've made it to the point we're at now. We're doing big things, and just like you're even though you've lost your vision and you're completely blind, and that it's not stopping you from doing this podcast or doing your Facebook page or
right,
all of that. And that's what people need to understand, is just because we run into situations in our life such as immobility, not being able to walk, not being able to see, having deficiencies of different things, it doesn't stop you.
Yeah,
I still work in cars.
Like even, hold on, I was going to tell you, like even that you lost your sight and you went through this change of getting a kidney, getting a pancreas transplant and everything, your life at one point, you fell down and depressed, and you was like, damn it, man, I'm gonna fucking, excuse my language, I'm gonna die if I don't get these things straightened out,
Yeah.
And
that's where it came to too. The dark area was, I'm dying, and I don't know if I'm going to come out of it. And I did die. December of 2016. I had went and I got home from dialysis, and the wife had worked a bunch of hours, and she's like, I'm gonna take you to the hospital. You're not doing good. I said, no, I'm fine. You get some rest. And I guess I was crawling up the stairs trying to get to the bedroom, and she's like, I'm calling an ambulance. They came and got me, and they got me to the hospital, and as soon as they got to the hospital, I went into cardiac arrest.
And was this before your operation, or?
Yeah, that was before the operation.
Oh, okay.
What had happened was the heart, if you have your potassium levels, have a lot to do with your heart. If your potassium level is too low, it can affect the heart. If they're too high, it can affect the heart. What had happened was I had a blood sugar of over 1,200.
Damn.
And my potassium level was at a 10, and it sent my heart into cardiac arrest.
Wow.
And they tried for 9 minutes. And that's quite a while to be dead for, not breathing. Yeah. And after that 9 minutes, I came back, and I woke up in intensive care with, intubated, with IVs, probably a good 8 to 10 IVs and hoses and things sticking out of me. I had them in my neck, in my groin, in my legs, my feet, my arms, 3 or 4 in just one arm, just running different, fluids and medicines and antibiotics and a lot of things. Plus, I was, on dialysis also. Yeah. So, I mean, that was scary for me. That was real scary. Yeah. But, like you were saying, you get to that point where you're like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm at that point where I'm standing on the edge of death. Like, I'm on a thin thread. And all I can say is, when people get to that point, is don't let yourself down. Don't fail yourself. Keep pushing through. As much as it's hard to, and the depression sets in, and the stress sets in, and all of those, your demons come after you.
Right.
Don't let them win, because you let them win, and that's what's going to take over.
Right.
If you let them get to you and you let them win, it's it's almost like a sign of weakness, and you don't want that. You want to be able to be strong. You want to try to do as much as you can, be healthy, and live the best life you can. And that's what I did. Nothing stopped me, and I continued to do what I needed to do, and I'm still doing that till this day.
That's good.
They say that your organs can live up to 15 years and be fine, and then you may need to be back on the list. Well, I don't believe that. I think as long as you take care of yourself, you're doing your medications right, and you're doing what you have to take care of them, they're like gold.
Exactly.
You take care of them, they'll be with you forever. It's like a diamond. But you got to take care of yourself. No matter what your condition is, no matter what it is, as long as you follow what they tell you, I'm I'm a prime example of what not to do and what to do.
Right.
Dude, what I did in my past, do not do that. No, bad. Bad, don't do that.
Right.
But as long as you pick yourself up and you keep trying and you keep working at things, you can get to a point to where you're a success story. And that's what I like to see myself as.
Right.
A success story, because I succeeded far more than I ever imagined. Like I said, when I was 8 years old and they told me I had diabetes, the guy told me that I'd be taking shots for the rest of my life and I would never not be diabetic. And well, proved him wrong. And like I was saying earlier, I work on cars. I do brakes. I do suspension. I do everything. Like, nothing stops me from doing what I want to do. Do I need help sometimes? Yeah. Do I ask? Yeah. I mean, you can't be afraid to ask for help. Right. And especially being visually impaired or blind, you, as much as you want to do everything on your own, it's pretty much impossible. You can't go to the store and pick up a can and be like, oh, hey, this is corn. I know this is corn.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have, you get your reader out, and that's help, Get your phone out, you take a picture of it, it'll read it to you. Right. I mean, that's help, too. We can't just, we can't go into places, pick something up, and be like, oh, yeah, this is what I need, and walk off and get home, and now you're eating Brussels sprouts. No, that's not how it works.
Right.
But, so, and technology is amazing. We wouldn't be right here right now doing what we're doing if it wasn't for technology.
Yeah. Our
phones with TalkBack, all of that thing, and, being able to be on Anchor or YouTube. I'm on YouTube 2 to 3 times a week.
Right.
I collect toys, and I do, a Wednesday show and a Sunday show and anything in between that I want to pop into.
Right.
So it's possible to do these things, and I'm on video. I've got a spot to where, I set up my phone as a camera, and I get my headphones on, and I get everything, and I go to StreamYard, and I make sure that the guys are like, hey, I'm like, hey, am I in frame? Type of deal, because on the Android they don't have that fancy thing like iPhone where you can tell if you're in frame or not.
Right.
So yeah, I set it up. I know on the desk here I have a little line where I put my phone. I know where to set it, and then I know exactly on the bed where I can set to where I'm in the frame.
Right.
So just because we're blind, just because we're visually impaired, doesn't mean that you can't find other ways of doing things.
Right.
It may take us longer, and we all know that.
It's a way to get around
we're still able to do it.
Right. I was going to ask you, right, after you had, the operation and stuff, right? Like, how do I say this? Like, okay, do you feel like now... Okay, I know at one point you was giving up and you went through all of this and you died and came back and you did your operation and everything is successful now and you're living your life. Do you feel like you owe it to yourself to keep on pushing forward, to keep on striving to better things now that your life is back in your hands again?
Exactly. Yeah, I do. Exactly. I feel exactly like that.
That's good, my brother. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, like, do I still have bits of, being down and kind of depressed? Yeah, I do. I mean, there's those days where, the day my mom and dad had passed, and, the birthdays and holidays. I don't enjoy holidays, but I do it for the kid.
Right.
I do it for the kids because they need that. And I don't want to ruin it for them. But you're always going to have those downer days, no matter what you do. It's human nature. But I now feel like I feel better than I ever have since I was 8 years old. And I'm now going through OEM training, and I'm writing Braille. I'm reading Braille. Slowly, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's a process.
Oh man, to write Braille, you gotta write it backwards. It's a pain in the butt.
Right.
But I'm not stopping.
Yeah, that's what
I'm pushing forward.
That's what I'm happy that you're doing.
Get a job, being able to buy the things I want. Trying to clean my credit up and get a house and live in a house. And we're moving now. So we can, save some money to get to that point, to get to that house.
Yeah,
you're going back to school and things. And,
you're motivating yourself, you heard?
Yeah.
You're motivating yourself, and you're not sitting back. How do you say? You're not sitting back crying about, oh, man, I'm blind, and what am I going to do? Oh, exactly. I got to keep taking these meds so I can keep going. You're not bitching about it. I know you get a little depressed and stuff, but you always pick yourself back up at the end of the day, So you're not laid back chilling.
There's days where I wake up and my legs hurt terribly, and I try to take some meds. If it doesn't work, I'll lay there as long as I can until I'm like, you know what, I need to get up. I need to go do something. I need to take my mind off this. I need just to get up. Stop laying here like a bump on a log and do something.
Right.
So, I'll get up and do whatever I need to do, or clean the kitchen, or, just fiddle around with stuff, or go take the cabinet off, put it back. I don't know. I'll do something. I know that.
Right.
But it's one of those things where, you got to those low points, rock bottom. And I hit rock bottom a lot in my life. But now I can say that I'm probably the happiest I've ever been with not only my health, but things that are happening in my life. Do I have struggles still? Of course, everybody does. But I see myself going somewhere where before I was always negative. I was always looking down. Now I can walk forward with my head up and be proud. Do I care what people say about me? No, because they don't know me. They can't judge me for my appearance, because if anybody knows my appearance, I'm about 6'1", with piercings, tattoos, and a mohawk. And if people listen to me and they listen to my story and they hear how I talk, nobody gets that mental image. When I was going to church before the wife was working as much as she is, I was looked down upon from the start.
Right.
And my mom's widow, which is still my grandma, she walked in there and she's like, that kid is has one of the biggest hearts that you'll ever meet in your life. And people started getting to know me, and now people come up to me at church and like, hey Andrew, how you doing? How's the transplant? How are you feeling? But when I first walked in there, it was like I was Satan or something, like I burned
because they saw because they saw the tattoos.
I mean, just because of my appearance doesn't mean the guy up there in a suit, isn't laundering money or doing drugs or whatever. Your appearance has nothing to do with your person at all.
Right.
So it's a thing that I like everybody to know is, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what ethnicity you are. as long as you have something you can talk about, you have in common with each other, you can have a conversation with, that's all that matters.
Right.
But I'm not one to like to be in conversations where people are totally negative all the time
and judging you.
They're never looking forward. As much as you try to lift them up, they just keep putting themselves down, and you're not going to get anywhere if you look that way. Mm-hmm. You keep looking down, you keep not helping yourself, nobody can do it for you.
Right.
That you have to do it on your own, and I strongly believe in that, and it's what we've, a lot of us have done. We keep looking forward, we keep looking into the future. Why? Because the future's there. Mm-hmm. I mean, tomorrow's not always promised, but you need to plan like it is.
Exactly.
You honestly have to plan like it's not either. So, when your loved one leaves, always say I love you, even though if you're fighting, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This world is crazy, and it's going to stay crazy for a while. We got, Corona happening, and we got all sorts of different things, and it's a crazy world out there, but we just need to live every day to the fullest. And, I do that all the time, and I'm on these, some of these groups, and I've noticed, not all the time are they very active. Like this morning, and I'll come in and I'll try to, lighten up the mood, or, play some Batman music and see how everybody's doing. And, that's how it is. And I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy getting on YouTube and having fun and, talking with people, associating people. And it's really sad because I used to have friends here, lots of them, that I thought were my friends.
Right.
But you finally figure out who your real friends are when things like this happen to you. When you become blind or visually impaired, or you lose, your kidney function, and you need to go to dialysis or whatever. People start dropping off like flies. Mm-hmm. You get a hold of them like, oh yeah, well, we'll come over. Sorry to hear about what happened, and blah, 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 blah. Then you'll never hear from them for another year. Then they want to pop on your Facebook and be like, oh, happy birthday. Well, don't tell me happy birthday. You don't talk to me at all. And I did a major cleaning this year.
Yeah, like check in from time to time.
Almost 900 friends down to, I think, maybe 200-300 now.
Yeah.
So I had to clean house because there's people that, they only acknowledge you when they want or need something, or, they see on Facebook that it's your birthday, and it's like, are you serious?
Yeah, that's because they're only getting notifications from Facebook. But I guarantee you'd be like, hey, today's my birthday. I bet you they don't remember none of that because they're only getting reminded from Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So.
Mm-hmm. And social media is, taking over the world, but it's a big problem too. I mean, yes, it's helping a lot of us around the world to connect with each other, but it's a bad thing as much as it's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yep.
You got TikTok now, which is not for children. Yeah. For all the children that are out there with TikTok, that is not for children. And when your son comes in and he's playing things from South Park and he's 11 years old, you're going, oh, well, here we go. Now I have to explain all this. Thanks, South Park, thank you, TikTok, for showing that to my child.
Right.
And our kid don't have TikTok. His cousins do, and that's just as bad. So he comes home, he's like, oh, I heard this. And I'm like, yeah, F your face, Uncle Effer. I'm like, yeah, great. Cool story, bro. Let's talk about this.
Right.
So now Dad has to sit down and explain that.
Andrew.
Yeah.
We're already about an hour, and hold on. We're about an hour. Okay, so we're about to be an hour and 10 minutes.
Yes. We need the hour.
Right. I'm gonna cut it from here, my brother. And I want to have you on again, because I also have to interview other people. But I want to have you on again, and I'm happy that you told your story, and I'm happy you shared it with everyone on these platforms who's going to listen to you. And I just want to say real quick before I close out, God bless you and the family. And whoever's new here, please subscribe to my RP Life. If you want to check out my brother on his Facebook page, you can do that. And what's the name of your you still got your other Facebook?
Visually Impaired Master Mechanic page. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Still got it.
He's got that. So check him out there on Facebook. Once again, please subscribe to my RP Life, whether it's on YouTube, here on this platform, where Anchor puts me at, Spotify, Apple Pod, Google Podcast, everything. Wherever you hear my voice and you see that logo, my RP Life, please subscribe, because I deeply appreciate all that love and support. And if you want to check me out,
Run away.
What was that?
I said if they run away.
And check me out on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, and you can also join my Facebook group, my RP Life Family and Friends. You can join that. I am the head admin there, and my beautiful diva Deb, she's also an admin. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the likes. And if you want to leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Anything else, Andrew?
Just like I said before, everybody, keep your head up. You're always, welcome to message me on Facebook or WhatsApp or Messenger or anything like that. I'm willing to talk to anybody. I might not get back to you right away, because I got a lot going on, but I'm always down to help whoever I can, and that's just the way I was raised, and that's the way I think everybody should be, to try to help this world spin a little nicer and get some negativity out of the air. And if you do that, maybe we could take a nice long walk along the beach and go have some ice cream and maybe a dinner date. I mean,
right.
I'll go stag. Cool for me. Anybody like Olive Garden? All right, cool.
All right.
It's a date. Sweet.
All right, Andrew, man. Thanks, my brother, for being here.
Of course.
My name is Juan. This is my RP Life. Peace out, everyone. God bless, and don't forget to subscribe.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my RP Life. I'm your host, Juan. I got a special guest on today. He is my brother from another mother. But before we get into it, please subscribe to me on YouTube, my RP Life. Follow me on Twitter. You can also join my Facebook group, my RP Life Family and Friends. And please subscribe to me here on all the platforms that Anchor puts me on, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iPod, just to name a few. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my brother from another mother, Andrew, aka Batman. So, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
I'm nervous. I've never done this before. I'm good. How about you, Juan? How you doing today?
I'm